Welcome to the Holistic Grief Coach podcast, the podcast about shining your light and rediscovering purpose after loss. I'm Kayleigh O'Connor, grief coach, integrative trauma coach, and founder of Good Grief and the Holistic Grief Coach certification. Here we're opening up conversations about grief and the journey of reclaiming your identity when life has changed forever. You'll hear inspiring stories from certified holistic grief coaches and other guests, as well as solo episodes from me where I'll share tools, teachings and truths from my own path along grief. So if you're here to rebuild and rediscover who you are after loss, or if you're looking to become a grief coach or find some purpose in your next chapter of life, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Hi Sarah, welcome to the Holistic Grief Coach podcast. How are you doing?
I'm okay, Kayleigh, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Before we started, we were just chatting about kind of what you've been up to since graduating, and it sounds like you've been doing a lot. Do you want to just introduce yourself a little bit in terms of who you are and what you've been up to since graduating?
I'm Sarah, and I've had a lot planned since from day one, really. I think I told you that I had my logo done and my name before I'd even decided to do the certification. I knew what I wanted to do and full steam ahead really with grief cafes and workshop and one-to-one clients. It's been quite full on, but I wouldn't change it.
I think it's amazing, and I feel like that kind of all-in approach is I like that, but I've seen that in you since the start of the program. You show up so fully every week, but I'm right in saying that you pretty much started your grief cafe within the first couple of months, was it?
When did we start? End of January. And my first one was beginning of March.
And how
not long at all. Nerve-wracking, but I only wanted 6 people. And because I felt that was right around a table and where we were in a cafe. And those 6 spaces were filled within a week of me putting it out on Facebook, just in my community. We met up every month and we still do now. And we're just organising our Christmas lunch together.
I love that. When people hear you say that, you know, people who maybe are in training or who are considering training as a grief coach or, you know, haven't ever been to a grief cafe before, why did you start like that? Why did you decide, actually, before I graduate, I'm just going to start this?
I needed to build the confidence in myself, and I just straight away, I just wanted to help other people locally. And I thought, right, I'd heard you'd done a grief cafe, and I was like, right, I'm going to do that. There's nothing in this area that does anything like that. I've never seen any grief cafes down here where I live in Kent. So I just really wanted to help other people. I think it's, and you'll hear me say further down the line, that it's just don't want people to feel that they're alone, just to bring people together, even if they can. Grief makes you feel like you're alone, but it doesn't have to be like that. So that's what I wanted to do in my community where I live.
I love that it's so loud, that your desire to help others, it sounds like was greater than the kind of any fears, like fears of like not being ready. Is that right?
I felt I can do this. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and starting the certification just all kind of put it into place for me. Like, right, let's get out there and start helping people.
I think a lot of people are going to be inspired just listening to this, because I just feel like when you talk about that, you know, full commitment to making this your business and your full-time reality. And for those listening, you left your job, didn't you? Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I was working in the corporate world, and lots of things happened over a 2-year period that I have chronic illnesses as well. With that, and work kind of took its toll, and the stress. And I did suffer from PTSD and a burnout, if you like. And I thought so many times, my brother would have wanted me to be like this, you know, just existing, really. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved the job that I did, but just not everything that was behind the scenes. And it just all come to a head, really. And I thought, there's got to be more to life than this. I don't want to just exist. I need to have a purpose. And I think when I saw what my brother, the legacy that he left behind, how many people he helped, was just so inspiring. And I just thought there is nothing in the world that's worth your health, a job. Although I might like it, everything that came with it was causing me stress and, like I say, led to a burnout and something had to give. So I left in March, a couple of months after starting the certification. Scary, but I did it.
I think it's so inspiring, and I can relate to what you're sharing, having my own health conditions and trying to prioritize health. And my business has been a part of that. I think a lot of people listening are going to be very inspired by you, and just the fact that you joined the certification and then ended up starting your grief cafe and leaving your job very soon after. So you've started to talk a little bit more now about your brother and about purpose. And I was wondering if you could talk to us a little bit more about your own personal grief journey and what brought you to this point.
My brother passed away in 2018. He had cancer, but he was fighting MS as well prior to that for 10 years. And his MS masked his cancer symptoms. They don't go hand in hand, MS and cancer. And I think that's just everything changed for me. I wasn't the same person after that. It just opened my eyes up to how lonely I think grief can be. And although I'm quite good at recognising when I need help, I reached out to Cruz not long after his funeral, and they had a waiting list of 5 months. I don't want anyone to go through what I went through of that waiting. I had 5 sessions, and don't get me wrong, it helped me a lot, but I just felt that there's more. I didn't want anyone to go through it. I don't want anyone to go through it alone, think like I felt I was. And I've had multiple losses in my family since then, grandparent. And then recently in 2022, I lost my best friend to cancer. I think that's when I thought something's got to change. I was just showing up to work, I was just being a mum.
Thanks for sharing. So you were saying about, the wait lists and how you don't want anybody to navigate what you had to navigate, and actually how you've stepped into this work in order to ensure that doesn't happen. So that sounds really powerful. And I think, it's crazy, right, how long the wait lists are for this support that is so needed. When you think about your own grief and what your life was like before loss and how it changed after loss, what have you experienced?
I think before loss, I was the strong one, constantly busy, constantly working. That's all there was to life, was working and obviously my family, but just holding it together really. After my brother died, I'd never really just to feel. I think it was more I was on the surface, having the counselling and doing what I had to do on the surface, but never really stopped deep down to feel. And I think grief slowed me down and taught me just to listen more to my body, and definitely more in the last year, just to listen to myself more and to others, because I was going a million miles an hour all the time. And I was listening to people, but was I really there? Showing up, I was there, but was I really listening? And I think that's been a journey in itself as well.
Almost like living life just kind of in that autopilot, is that right?
Definitely. Just showing up to what society thinks you should be doing. You should be over it now, get back to work, get back to being a mum and a partner, and just that pressure in itself is a lot.
I think often a lot of us are going through life like that, aren't we? And it takes, unfortunately, a burnout, a loss, some type of wake-up call for us to make a change. And I'm wondering what moments in your journey were turning points for you?
I would say how living with chronic illness, how trauma and grief lives in your body. I think that was a huge turning point, and I just realised how much really stress and emotions I had actually been carrying when you stop and really listen to your body, how much that had actually caused, not just with chronic illnesses, but how much damage that can do to your body. Was a big turning point for me.
And am I right in hearing you that it was navigating chronic illness that helped you to understand that connection?
I think that everything I was feeling in my body was always, oh, that's because of my illness. And yes, it is, but I never went deeper into that and thought that it would be grief and the trauma that was causing.
I can relate to that. I feel like I sometimes say I was like mindlessly medicating And then my body switched the medication. It made me realize how much suppressed emotion I had underneath all of that. And so connecting to your body and realizing that your body was speaking to you by the sounds of it. When you think about what you were saying, you don't want people to navigate this alone, grief alone. You don't want people to, by the sounds of it, get to a point of burnout either. And it sounds like your brother had a huge legacy as well, which is deeply inspiring. There's a lot there, isn't there, around like your why is really, really loud and clear.
Yes, he is inspiring, and every day he inspires me. But I think the strength that he showed and the resilience is just there. Whenever anything happens, I can hear him, what he's saying, come on, you can do this. And like I said to you before, it wasn't until his funeral that a lot of people come out, people that he helped, because he was a nutritionist for autoimmune diseases. So he was helping people with cancer, MS, and fibromyalgia, and the amount of people that he helped just never knew. And that, like I say, that was just so inspiring. And he had his own business. He could never understand me working in the corporate world because he never wanted to answer to anybody. He wanted to be his own boss. That's how headstrong he was. Personality that he had. But yeah, he's my why, and he is very powerful and strong to me.
Sounds like an amazing person. And when you think about your purpose and actually like what you're here to do, like what would you say is your purpose?
I think to help others. I don't want people to feel that they have to walk it alone. My purpose is to be there to walk beside them. I relate to that.
So many of us are trying to navigate grief alone, and I personally did that for many, many years without realizing, number one, that it was safe to ask for help, because I think there's a lot of credit given to pushing through and actually being supported by somebody. Everybody deserves that. You kind of talked a little bit there about like the somatic piece and your why and your purpose. So what drew you to doing the holistic grief coach certification?
I think helping others obviously is number one. Not to do it in a clinical way, but in a more holistic and somatic way, like we've spoke about, really listening to your body. I think that in itself is amazing. I've learned so much from doing this about my body, like we said before. I just really wanted to do it in a more heart-led and holistic way.
I'm so glad you did, because you bring so much heart to the sessions. And obviously I've seen you from January up until now grow and grow and grow. I just think you're such a natural at creating that safety and really seeing people, never any judgment. Obviously, of course, no coach should ever judge, but I just feel that real sense of openness from you when you coach, where you're just really seeing person to person. It's lovely.
Wear my heart on my sleeve, and I think that's the way you should be, really.
When you think about the training itself, we've learned a lot, and you've got your mega manual in your house now. Was there a session or a tool or a module that really resonated for you or created a big shift for you?
When I think back, I realised how I didn't take the time to breathe. It's just something as small as that. Every day we're rushing around. That's really simple, but actually just even the resources that we start with is one of my favourite is just the simple box breathing, because it just take your time to just breathe, reconnect with your body, really. I think years of living in survival mode, you just need to take a minute for yourself. And I love body mapping as well, going through somatically through the body, the colour and the texture of things. And I love that. Always do that with my clients now. Just the simple breathing techniques are really big for me.
I think a lot of people have said, graduates have said how the breath work has been a big part, because we're holding our breath so much, aren't we? Especially after loss. It's like, well, we never learned how to breathe in the first place, but then we're in that like holding state, like grief takes the breath away. Just like learning to like drop back in and connect to the body, I think is
so powerful. And it doesn't have to be anything miraculous, right? For us to just check in with that breath and use that as the key or the door back into the body.
Definitely. It's like I say, it might seem so small compared to the whole course, but actually it's one of the most important things, like you say, reconnecting.
Well, you've got it with you every day, haven't you? It's one of those things, some of the tools we only would do in a session with a coach or a client, but your breath, that's something you can access right now. I hear you and feel like the power of the breath should never be underestimated.
Definitely. I take it with me when I get in situations. Trying to think of something that I've done recently. Well, I didn't went on to a concert. I thought I can't do this. No, loads of people getting. You can feel the anxiety building. I thought I just need to take time to breathe. Let's just help. Thought I can do this. I did it. Had a really great night, but it was just to breathe. Some deep breath.
So interesting. I was at a concert yesterday and I was feeling really tired because I've been to two this week, I said to you earlier, which isn't very unusual for me. And the crowd was very like boppy. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can handle that. You know, I haven't got capacity for that. I looked to my left and there was just this one partner of this woman and he was just stood and he was just swaying side to side on his own. And I was like, you know, I'm going to do that. I just started swaying. I felt so much better. Just allow my body to do what it needed to do. And he was like a cue for me. So it's interesting when you just come back into you, how powerful that is.
Sometimes I don't want to stand up. So I was at a concert, obviously you've got the chairs that lift up and down. Everyone's standing up. My body's aching. I'm usually in bed at this time. I'm going to put the seat up, but sit on top of it. Yeah. So I was kind of not sitting down, not standing up, kind of like just went halfway. And I thought, that works for me. I'm just going to like you. I'm just going to move, not just hurt.
Goldilocks zone. This is good. I get that. We talk about that in the training though, don't we? About making a choice for yourself. And actually, if a yoga teacher says to breathe deeply, what if you don't want to breathe deeply? What if actually you'd like to breathe differently? And being allowed to make that choice. It should be the same in any part of life, to actually come back in and say, what do I need right now from this moment? And making that change.
Quick pause in today's episode. If you've ever felt the pull to turn your own grief into purpose, to support others with compassion and confidence, this is your invitation. The Holistic Grief Coach certification is enrolling now. It's a 6-month trauma-informed training that equips you with the tools to guide others through grief while also transforming your own journey. To find out more and join the next cohort, simply DM me the word certification at goodgrief_UK on Instagram. Now, let's get back in and enjoy today's conversation.
So I'm curious to know how the training impacted your own journey, your own grief, whether that was emotionally or somatically or spiritually. So what comes to mind?
I think the biggest thing for me was not seeing it as something you need to get over. I said earlier, society makes you feel pressure, but I think a big part of the course with me was how to carry the grief with me every day. I don't need to suppress it. I can live with grief and pain and carry the two together. So there's nothing wrong with that. I now know that I can do both.
Huge journey, because we don't learn that, do we? It's like start and finish. Like, actually, how do we get over this or fix this? For me, like growing up, it was how do you put it in a box, but like, how do you hold it and let it exist whilst doing other things and holding other things?
There's no more suppressing now for me. It is just, if I wake up and I'm having a bad day and Gary is on my mind and you spiral, I'm going through it. There's not any other option anymore. Carry them both together. That is such a huge thing, I think, that I've learned from doing this certification. Definitely carrying them both together.
I love that the journey is a professional journey, but it's also deeply personal. Do you want to speak to any of the peer coaching sessions that you had and just that what the journey has been like there for you?
I mean, my two peer coaches were brilliant, both completely different. I was lucky that I had two of them. We showed up for each other. There was nothing that we didn't talk about, and it never ever felt like it was a peer coach. to be honest. When we went into peer coaching, recording and everything, it was real, it was raw, and we were honest. Even that in itself helped me. There are weeks where you think, oh, I really can't go through this today. But at the end of the session, you're always, I'm so glad I got that out, because that is a lot of it, isn't it? What we hold inside, and we just need someone to listen. They both showed up and they both listened, and they were brilliant. I'm missing that now.
We had such a lovely group, and just like the relationships that I see you all forming together is so special. And obviously I'm in there with you, but I'm not meeting you one-on-one every week like you are with each other. It's been real friendships formed. You've all grown so much as coaches and held space for each other during some really challenging moments. For anyone listening who's like, what are you on about? In the certification, all the students meet every week with a peer and practice coaching from day one. So it's a journey from the beginning, right, of actually learning how to coach and actually practicing in real time, not just learning about it, which is really important as a trainer as well.
It's nerve-wracking. You're telling someone that you don't know everything about you, and like I say, there was nothing that we didn't hold back, but now they were both brilliant. I can't say anything more. Thanks. I have actually met Alex in person, by the way.
Have you? I think Alex interviewed me in her podcast van at some point.
That was very, very strange, but lovely at the same time. Just to see that person that you've seen all these months and in person was just really, really nice. So
hopefully we all can all do a meetup at some point soon as well, and then we can connect each other. When you think about your journey and your own growth, what parts of yourself do you feel like you've maybe reconnected with or found or reclaimed through doing the certification?
I think especially living with chronic illness, it's about slowing down and just honouring what my body's trying to tell me, because I just ignored it for so long. And, you know, I was suppressing my emotions. I thought I'd had counselling, hick, 5 sessions, I'm okay now. No, it's not. We say it comes in waves, doesn't it? And what I wasn't prepared for was how to deal with like triggers along the way. It doesn't matter how far down the line you are, you're always going to have that. As we said earlier, it's carrying it and pressing.
So reclaiming it's okay to slow down, and reclaiming it's okay to feel.
Definitely, you need to feel. If you're going to have, what I've realised now is that to have growth and to move forward, you have to slow down and feel it. It's so important to feel everything that you're feeling.
So powerful, because people think it's the opposite, right? Push through, push past, but actually that just creates this like bubbling effect that explodes, and then that slows us right down. If we just go more slowly and tend to what's coming up as it comes up, it's the holding grief, learning to hold and carry it. That's sounding really powerful for you in your journey as well.
I thought I was 7 years down the line, 6 years down the line when I started this certification, and that I'm okay, I'm dealing with it. But actually, it wasn't until I was doing the course, meeting with my peer coaches, that there was so much that I hadn't spoken about, and really huge things as well. Like guilt is a really big one for me, and it wasn't until you actually say it out loud, and like I say, had those going through the certification and meeting with the peer coaches, that you actually realise how much you have suppressed.
I'm curious to know, you said you had counselling before, and now reflecting on the certification, there were things you'd never allowed yourself to explore, but you did explore within coaching. What made that possible? What about coaching is different, would you say, that allowed you to, and holistic grief coaching at that, allowed you to go into those parts of yourself you wouldn't have otherwise gone into?
I would say, even just to take time, just slow it down, to breathe. Also, it's so important that your peer coach, your coach, is creating the right environment for you to do that, because that is key, isn't it? If you create that right environment and that safe space, then clients going to feel safe and they trust you.
I love that you've said that, because that's where we begin. And I feel like I emphasize safety so much. Sometimes I'm like, am I overemphasizing this? But I'm like, no, this is the foundation of this work. And without it, this work can't happen. It's unhelpful work. If it's overly triggering, it's too fast, too much, it's not going to help the client. So I love that you've named that slowing down, safety and trust. We learn 37 tools, right? But it's nothing without that pace and being trauma informed. Thank you for naming that.
That is the foundation. Without that,
I'm curious to know, because you've started to lean into this now, I'm getting a sense of it. And obviously I've seen you coach, but for anybody who's curious to know what a session is like with you, what is your approach to holding space for grief?
I would say they're calm, they're grounded, and the safety with me is there. You don't have to perform or have the right words, but just fully show up. And it's a space where you can just breathe and be yourself. And we know we're not there to fit.
Just working together, right, with a safe person and the structure that creates that safety. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about what kind of clients you support, maybe what a session looks like or feels like? You know, you've started your coaching during the certification, so you've already been doing this for the whole of this year nearly. So what does a coaching session look like with you? Who do you help?
I have helped widows, and I think a big thing around that is, I'd say that with all my clients. I have another client who has lost his dad, and a lot of it comes down to identity, who I am now. And I think that seems to be a very big focus with the widows that I work with, because they've been married 50, 60 years, and then all of a sudden they're on their own doing things that they never thought they would, even down to financial things, paying a bill. It's huge to them. So identity is a really big focus that we work around. And it's just all about, like we've said before, making them feel safe in a safe space and that they trust me.
I love that. And that's really important, right? To be focusing on that identity piece for people, because it's really learning to be someone without the person who was always there. It's a lot of the work I do as well with parent loss. This is what coaching is, versus maybe looking at only what happened, but actually like, who am I now? What does this look like with grief and me going forwards? A really important work. I know that we'll talk a little bit more about how people can find you in a moment, but do you want to talk a little bit about like what you've been offering, like how you've started creating these spaces for people?
My clients first started when I did the grief cafés. All 6 of them were widows as well. I've been advertising online and sibling loss, because I lost my brother and I relate to that. And again, that is a lot of identity, because that sibling that you've lost is someone that you created the most. No one else will have those memories than a brother or sister. It's someone that you'll be around forever with them both. You'll share things forever.
You've been working one-on-one, and you've got a group cafe, and you've also got a workshop you're doing, right? Series of, is it 6 weeks?
Over 6 weeks. So along with the grief cafe that has been going since March, so that's every month, and my clients online. I'm also running a workshop. I've got, which starts on the 5th of November. That's incorporating a one-to-one session, but doing it as a group. And actually, these are people that actually want to do it in a group. They want to feel like the grief cafe. They don't want to feel like they're alone. And a lot of them, when I've spoke to them in their discovery calls before they join, they said, I just want to know what I'm feeling is it's not just me. Because you start to feel like when you do shut yourself away from the world and you're just going to work and you are masking. I remember a client saying to me, I was masking every day. She said, but you don't, not talking about it. So they just want to feel that they're not alone. And again, it comes back to that all the time, doesn't it? You don't have to be alone in grief. So they want that workshop. They want that support workshop kind of setting. So that is, like I say, incorporating a one-to-one, but doing it with a very small group of people. So no more than 7, and just creating that safe space for them.
Sounds amazing. I'm just hearing you. I'm just like, you graduated like less than 2 months ago, and you're doing so well. Like, you've just got going with this. So if somebody was listening and they're like, how did you get that motivation or confidence to just go out there and start offering your services to people? What advice would you give them?
Get going. Just start making those calls and inquiring where you can do it. Reach out to your local communities. The cafe that I do is just round the corner. I already had a relationship with the owners there, because we all live in this little village, and they were more than happy to help. It's tough, I get that. And it really is to get going. It's easier said than done, but you won't regret it. Definitely not.
I love that. Put yourself out there and just, yeah, you've been brilliant at like making connections and just seeing what comes out of it. And you've got clients, you've got a group program starting. Like, I think that's incredible. I think you were in corporate, right? And you've just been like, actually, I can do this. Yeah, so inspiring. So well done. I'm excited to see how it grows. What would you say to someone thinking, there'll be people listening to this who don't want to become a coach, or maybe it's not something that's on their radar right now, but they're inspired by your story and inspired by somebody who lost your brother and has gone through a lot of, I guess, overwhelm and stress and trying to navigate this on your own alongside navigating chronic illness. There are going to be people listening to this who are in that situation and who are grieving right now. What would you say to that person who's feeling maybe alone?
What, someone that's thinking of doing the certification?
Maybe not, maybe just someone who's just feeling quite lost in their grief, someone like a younger you.
Okay, I would say, I know it's tough again, but reach out in any way that you can, whether you see someone, like, just DM me or put the word embrace at the end of a comment, or whatever that is. Make that first step and just reach out. Like I say, even if it's just sending a message, you're not alone. Even though it feels like you are, you're not. But just make that first step. That's the hardest step, I think. That's what I've said to a lot of my clients that have reached out. I appreciate that, because I think that is the hardest thing to do. Make that first step.
Totally agree. Like, actually putting that call out for help, that took me years. I just think that's, to do that and to know that you're not alone is so important. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, for people who are maybe thinking, oh, I might want to become a grief coach, like, I'm really inspired by Sarah's journey, like this course sounds really aligned. Maybe they're not sure though if they're ready. What would you say to them?
I would say have that discovery call with you, or I can remember doing that free discovery Zoom, didn't we? I think after that, I was just like, this is what I'm doing. There's no going back now. That just did it for me. Whatever I was thinking, and I was kind of, shan't I? Have that Zoom call with you, and you'll know deep down if it is the right path.
I agree.
You just know. You'll know if it's for you, and if it's the right time. Is there ever a right time? I don't know. But you just trust your inner knowing, I guess. You will know.
Thanks for sharing. I feel like that is so important, isn't it? Like, I don't want to force anyone to do this unless they feel like it's for them. And everyone who's done the certification, it's that kind of like inner calling or knowing pull that, like, this is what I'm here to do. This is the purpose I'm here to fulfill. And is there anything that you want to share about anything from the certification that you want people to know that I haven't asked you?
Oh, I think we've covered it. Don't be worried about walking on Zoom, maybe. I don't know, because you're brilliant like that. We all have the times when we've had a bad day and I need to be off camera for a little while, and just, there's no pressure at all. Everyone's been brilliant. We had such an amazing cohort, amazing group of ladies. There's no judgment at all.
Makes me miss it. It was such a great journey with you all. All right, so are you ready for some quick fire questions?
Yeah.
All right then. So is there a quote or a phrase that's guided you recently?
Probably one that we've said so much throughout this is that you don't have to carry this alone.
You don't have to carry this alone. Full stop.
Yeah, it's on all my social media. It's the banner on my Facebook page. You don't have to. When I advertise for courses, the workshops, it is You don't have to carry this load.
What's giving you hope right now?
Probably seeing what I've achieved already in the clients that I've had and the testimonials that I've had, the feedback that you started to change their life and give them hope back, and there's more to come.
You make me emotional. I feel like that's so lovely to hear, and just I'm so proud of you. If you were to say a book or a practice that's changed you, what do you recommend? Is there anything that comes up?
A book, I think it's okay to not be okay.
Great one.
And I think I read that within the first 6 months of my brother's passing. But that's the one that sticks out. Is it Megan Vine, I think? And practices, I think we go back to the breathing every time, just the grounding and the breathing. Amazing. Feeling it in the body.
And if you had to sum up grief in one word, what would you say?
Strength. That's my brother's word. I say that all the time. He is my strength. Grief in one word for me is strength.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. We've come to the end of our chat today, and I'd love to know, where can people find you if they're drawn to working with you? They'd love to be supported by you as their coach. Where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram under embrace_your journey. You are journey. Or on Facebook, it's just Embrace Grief Coach.
We'll put your links below here so people can find you easily. But is there anything else you wanted to say or share before we come to an end?
No, just to thank you, really. Thank you for such an amazing year, because we're nearly at the end of it, but we're still in touch and we're still having our mentorship, although the actual course is finished. Thank you, because this will and has, changed my life.
I'm so glad that you said yes to yourself. You've been fantastic. And the fact that you've gone out there and just started to make it happen, it's so inspiring. I'm behind you all the way. I'm so excited to meet you all in person and continue supporting you. It's been so lovely to chat with you today. Thank you so much for sharing more about you with us. For anyone who wants to find Sarah, go check her out. The links are going to be below. And Sarah, when does your course start? The 5th of November. So if you want to go and find out about that, go on to Sarah's Instagram and DM the word embrace.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me on the Holistic Grief Coach podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, please take a moment to subscribe, share this with a friend, or leave us a review. Every share and review helps this podcast reach more people who need it, and together we can shine more light into the grief space. And if you feel called to take this work deeper, or even train as a holistic grief coach, you can learn more by simply DMing me on Instagram @goodgrief_UK. Until next time, I look forward to seeing you soon.